Hey everyone, Sarah here. Hello, authors. Thank you very much for joining me on this St. Patrick's Day. Today, we are going to be talking about another type of author swag that you can use when you're on your conference rounds this year. Last session, we talked about bookmarks and business cards. Today, we're going to be talking about using postcards. Postcards are a really great tool in that not only can you fit a lot of information on them, but they're also great to be used for autographs. Saving enough space on your postcard makes it a very easy thing for you to sign for a reader. So it kind of doubles as both a book plate and an infographic. So we're going to be looking at how to design and some layout ideas for a postcard, how you can structure the information and your book covers and all of that good stuff. And then if we have time in our session, I would like to also go over some quick tips for using peer reviews in your social media graphics. I know that it can be very tempting to put an amazing quote all over your graphic, but you want to be very selective with the words that you are choosing so that you're getting the most amount of impact for the least amount of words so that you can use the rest to have your visual created. So with that said, let's dive into Canva. So for today, we are going to be using postcard. We're going to be doing a postcard template, and depending on your print service that you choose, you're going to want to make sure that you do your due diligence ahead of time and make sure that you have gotten the right dimensions for your printing service, because depending on how big or small the canvas is for your postcard is really going to determine how much space you have to work with and where your crop lines are, where your print bleed is, and making sure that you're within the proper margin. So that's something to keep in mind. The printing service that I use is Vistaprint. I have not used any other printing service, so I can't give any recommendations on them. However, for Vistaprint, I have printed their postcards myself before, and so I have a good understanding of how they look and what they feel like, glossy versus matte finish and all of that fun stuff. And so I'm going to be designing my postcard today with their specs in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and actually work backwards today. I've already created my postcard, and so I'd like to walk you through the different elements and how you can use them to your advantage. So I'm going to go into my project history here and pull up my postcard, double-sided postcard that we have. And you can see here from my project file that I have my front and back. And how I like to utilize the front of my postcards are advertising my book covers. Whether it's listing all of my books that I have, whether if I wanted to use my previous, with my Court of Mystery series, let me go ahead and pull that up so that I can kind of show you the difference between what we have available. Let's see here. So with, that's not the one that I wanted. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit in time. That's my bookmark. Let's see. I know that I just had it open the other day. Here we go. All right. So my postcard for Malice last year, I went with a very simple, straightforward approach. And let me see, I'm going to make sure that my streaming, here we go. Went with a very simple, straightforward approach. I took all of my current book titles and put them on a postcard on the front. I had them supported by the color purple, which is, those of you who have joined me before for my sessions, you know that purple is very much a part of my author brand color. So I've got a little nod to that in my postcard itself. And then the back, the information that I have here is kind of twofold. I have myself. So, if I'm in person at a conference, people are remembering my face and being able to associate it with my name so that there's that personal connection. I really do like having my picture included on both my postcards, my business card, and my bookmarks because of establishing that personal connection. Some folks, it can be a preference. I think it's a nice way to really make it so that you are building fostering a connection and a relationship with the person that you're giving this particular item of swag to. So I've got my picture. I've got a call to action, and a call to action is, hey, I would like my reader to take some type of action as they have this postcard. And for me, I want them to take a look at all of my books and visit my website. I also have, I allude to the fact that I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube without listing all of that information there. I just have those icons and the code that I actually have next to it, my QR code that I'm using. Instead of bringing them to the homepage of my website, I actually am bringing my reader to my social media hub that is built into my website. So they're kind of being brought to a one-stop shop area where it'll have all my links for my social media pages. They have links to my books as well. It's built on my website so they can navigate away from the page and still be within the saraheber.com domain, so that there's a lot of action that they can take from this one QR code. I also encourage people, and actually in my QR code this year for the postcard that I'm developing, I have it so that it is just bringing them to my webpage because I would like people to explore more and be able to see everything that I have offered, because I've done a lot of reconfiguration of my website in the past year so that the homepage is much more like one-stop shop as well. But it's just an idea of make sure that you're directing your readers to the place that you want them to take the most action on. Maybe you just want to bring them right to your book page from either your website, or maybe it's the Amazon product page or the Barnes & Noble product page or bookshop.org product page. Just making sure that you have a direct actionable for them is a really good way to entice that activity. And then over on the right-hand side, what I have is, this is more of an infographic in this part, because I'm sharing all of the series that I have without really explaining what they are, but I am explaining what they are with how the logos are designed. So, my trending topic mysteries, you've got something that has to be kind of social media related because the icon with the hashtag in it. My Court of Mystery series must have something to do with royalty and mystery. And then, of course, my Glenmeyer Wynn mysteries have to have that paranormal element to them because my logo is a cauldron with bubbling stuff coming out of it. So even though I'm not directly saying what these book series are about, my icons are kind of doing that work for me. And then, of course, I just have my personal logo here, and I would use the free space as a place for signatures. This is a great way that you can do some signing, sign these postcards. You can leave them out in a hospitality room alongside your bookmarks. It's just a great way to make them more personalized and kind of have it be a interactive keepsake for your reader without having it be a huge data dump. So because I am going to Malice this year, I wanted to kind of revisit and revamp my postcard because I have a lot more books out in the world, and I really want to kind of target my focus for Malice. And because my Court of Mystery series, yes, they're mystery based. Yes, it's an amateur detective, but it's not as cozy as the Trending Topic mysteries or the Glenmeyer Wynn mysteries are. So you can begin to see that I'm sort of phasing all of my modern cozies together and building a brand on those books alone. Whereas, I still do work with my Court of Mystery series, but it's a much different marketing world that I'm a part of for that. So I'm really focusing my postcard this year on the coziness and that I'm a cozy mystery writer, and making sure that people and readers know, okay, this is what Sarah Burr offers. And so for my cover, instead of having all of my books listed out, I just picked my my 4 newest cozies. You can see that I'm not doing the kind of the raised poster image. I am using a image of the book itself. This isn't always you're not always able to do this on your end, depending on kind of what tools you have at your disposal. So if you are looking to kind of give lift to your book covers and don't want to just like have them laid out flat in like a 2-dimensional image, I will show you a way that you can do that. So I'm just going to make a quick copy here and delete. Come into my book covers where I have like the flat 2-dimensional covers listed out. And I won't do this for all 4 of them, but I do want to show you kind of what I mean by giving lift to these covers. So let's work with the trending topic mysteries first and foremost. I'm going to go up here to my edit image, and I've talked about the importance of shadows multiple times. I absolutely love them. I think that they can create such a big difference in an image. And I'm going to select this lift option to really lift the image off my my page. So even though I'm handing somebody a flat item, it's going to have some dimension to it. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the changes here and do the very same for the Follow Me for Murder cover. I'm just waiting for the waiting for this to save before I go in and do that page lift. Apply. And then I can drag and adjust them to the appropriate size. So even though I don't have a, I'm not using like a 3D image of my book, it's still lifting off, it's still popping off of that page and creating depth to it, which makes it fun, which makes it a little bit more eye-catching and a little bit more professional because you have that like extra dimension to it, meaning that, you know, you didn't just go into like Microsoft Paint and slap something together. So it adds to the professionalism of it. So that's an option that you can do for your covers, for the cover of your postcard. Another item that you could do if you wanted to is just using your cover as the image background. So, you know, I have Tag Me for Murder here. Let's see. So if I just set this as my background, you know, I have, it kind of looks a little funny with the toes popping off here. So what I probably would do is I would detach the image and let's see, adjust it as much as I could. And even I could do something along the lines of, since I know what the font style is, it is the Play Script style. I'm actually gonna do that right now. Switch over to my Trending Topic Mysteries brand, put my heading out and do Tag Me. And then I'm actually just gonna remove this altogether. Murder. I'm going to type in, I'm doing all separate elements for these so I can make them different sizes because I want the Tag Me and For to be bigger or smaller than Murder. So I have this because I know that I've already created my toolbox for my colors for Tag Me for Murder. I know which colors to make. And let's see, I'm going to do a little lift of the shadowing here. Actually, we're going to do some just shadow. I bet you are tired of hearing me talk about how much I love shadows, but I just think that, again, they just add like so much depth to something. And then I just need one more to do the hashtag. And so I have really created I'm able to kind of do a mock cover in this way. And let me put in the blue background. And just to like make it even more fun, let's put some clouds in. Clouds. All right. And I think to kind of tie everything in together, I'm going to type in a trending topic mystery. I'm going to put that in this cloud up here with, let's do this blue. So now I have a kind of makeshift book cover that is serving as my postcard and the front of my postcard. So this is another way that you can utilize your book cover. Again, you definitely could do something along the lines where you just kind of have your cover take over and become like the back of, or have your cover be the background. You could do something where you just take one cover and come in and do edit image. Let's do this angle, just again to give it a little bit more depth. Let's do this dark blue and drag down the blur here. So again, we have this kind of popping off, and we could do a complementary background, something that's like, woo, bright and like in your face. This might be a good time to actually talk about using a peer quote for your postcard to kind of catch the reader's attention. We could do something along the lines of having a peer quote to really support your support the cover of your book. So let me go ahead and just kind of I'm going to actually reference one that I've already done before. Give me just a moment. And let's see here. This is my project that I've been using for all of my Tag Me for Murder products because I know where I can find them. So I'm going to come in and put in the quote that I've selected. And I had an amazing blurb given to me by author Leah Dobrinska, who writes Death Checked Out. It's the Larkspur mysteries from Level Best Books. And she wrote, it was an amazing paragraph. I would love to put the entire paragraph on all of my materials because it's so wonderful. And like, I just absolutely love it to death. But when you are selecting a quote from a peer, an author, from a publication, what have you, you do want to just kind of pick the words that are going to really grab your reader's attention. And something that's short, catchy, that's really snappy, especially in like the cozy mystery genre, is something that you want to focus on. So the fewer words that you're able to select, the better. So again, if you have this beautiful, beautiful paragraph written to you by one of your peers, that is great to use as a caption. But when you are designing content around it visually, you do want to be selecting the most, those a single sentence, maybe even just a couple words. One of the other ones that I really loved from Leah's review was savvy and sophisticated. Like, she was describing my main character, Coco Klein. And while the sentence that savvy and sophisticated was also amazing, like those two words alone are just like really, really impactful for when it comes to description. So those are the kinds of things that you want to be picking out of a blurb and using in visual media. And again, posting the entire blurb for your readers to enjoy and bask in as the caption to the post that you're supporting with that visual. So in terms of adding a quote to your graphic for your postcard, the same lines apply. You could think of the cover of your postcard as kind of the enticing, like, ooh, like you're pulling your reader in, and then all of your information is going to be on the back, and that's where you could put longer quotes, you could put awards that you've won, all of this good stuff. So that's, again, just something to think about when you're designing, and making sure that you are attributing your quotes on your postcard to the person that has given them to you. So I'm just going to put this information here, and I'm being very mindful of where things are being placed because I know my margins. You can probably see it just barely on the stream, but there is a line that runs along the postcard that is showing me what my margins are, and I don't want to be designing anything outside of those lines. So I'm trying to keep everything pretty tight. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color here so we can actually see it. And then what I'm going to work on is making the background to something that really supports my book. And so I'm going to go into photos really quickly, and because it's about social media, I'm going to type in social media, and I'm really on the hunt to see if I can get like, this is kind of cool. I don't want that to be the background though. I'd be like very, very, I don't like that person's arm there either. I would like to like have something transparent that I can kind of stick over this to make more, to give depth to. I've used this on some of my other designs that I've done. The color on this one is a little bit too overpowering. It's a bit too loud. So I'm not going to go with this one just yet. Let's see. If there's not something that like jumps out at me, what I will do is I will go into the elements section and create my own background to support it. Let's see. I'm really looking for the like symbol or the hashtag symbol repeatedly. Again, I love the look of that one, but the color is a bit too bright. Let's see here. All right, so I'm not exactly finding what I'm looking for. So I'm going to come back to the elements. I'm going to type in hashtag. You can see that I've done this before based on my search history. And I'm going to put this in. You're going to be like, wow, Sarah, that gives it so much texture. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of adjust the color that we have going on here. Yeah, let's make it, I want to be a little bit lighter than, let's see, I want it to be very, very faint. Okay. And then what I'll do is Control Copy. I'm just going to make my own pattern. And you can see that Canva helps me keep my pattern in line by telling me, hey, Sarah, everything's equidistant right now. And then I'm going to highlight, I'm going to group these together, and I'm going to copy this grouping, and I'm going to paste. And I'm going to do a little shift in my design. And then I'm going to push these. I'm going to bring my text forward to the front. Make sure I have Leah's name coming to the front as well. And so you can see how I am getting I'm getting a textured background without really having anything to go off of. It was something that I was able to just kind of create myself. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to do that along this side here so that there is continuity. All right, and then position, bring this to the front again. And there. So now I have a postcard front that is giving me a fun little blurb. And let's make that blurb stand out even more with some color enhancement. Let's make it really pop. And the same goes for Leah's name. I'm going to go ahead and come into my effects, and I'm going to actually use this new outline feature because this will help I can make it thicker because I don't have the option to make this bold. There. So another way that you can have your postcard designed for the front is you can have something along the lines of, your books and your writing motto. You could have just the kind of movie poster version of your books. You could use your a kind of play on your book cover, or you could have something that's much more informational and showing your cover, but you're also giving some context about how wonderful people think your book is. And you know what? Just for fun, because Leah also gave me a 5-star review on it, I could also throw on a 5-star, and there we have something that's telling the reader, hey, here's this awesome book, 5 stars, check it out. You're ready to go. So those are some options for the front of your postcard. And that's where you can really have a lot of fun for, what kind of information you're providing your reader. For the back of my postcard, this year I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm trying to, again, I'm leaning more into what I'm doing as an author, and trying to bring my reader on my writing journey with me. So you can see that instead of really leaving a huge space for me to sign my signature, I have got just a little biography here. I'm, really letting them know, hey, I'm a cozy author. This is what you're going to get if you come hang out with me. But I'm also sharing some of the items, what else I'm doing beyond writing. Not only do I have my Book a Shower podcast, but I also have my Books to Bundles services. So especially when you're in a conference setting where maybe you have an offering, maybe you're an edit, you do edits, or you want to be a beta reader for other authors, or you want to be in a writing group or what have you, you can, really kind of advertise yourself to not only the readers that are there, but to the other authors that are there as well. So you can see, again, I'm leaning into the visual of, hey, here's my logo. Here's the logo for my podcast. Here's the logo for my content creation service, so that I'm telling a story with pictures, but I'm also giving a little bit more detail up here about who I am. And, I'm saying I'm author of the Trending Topic Mysteries, the Meyer Wynn Mysteries, Court of Mystery series, and just kind of giving a rundown of who I am, so that when somebody looks at their postcard a couple months after they've been to a conference, they're like, oh, she does a podcast online, I should check it out. And again, I have a picture so they remember who I am, as well as a call to action. My call to action this year was, I'm really trying to be more, I guess it's hard to think about what my what my goal was writing this, but I just wanted to be more welcoming and friendly and cozy feeling. So encouraging people to be a part of my journey, instead of just telling them explore my books, and having that kind of enticement there, that, hey, this is a cozy atmosphere. You're more than welcome to be here, and through that wording. And again, I'm using my QR code to direct them where I want them to go: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and BookBub. Let's see, Deborah, can you show how to tilt pics or books at different angles? Of course, yes. I'm going to jump over here to my postcard. So with my book here, if you're looking to move the entire image itself, there is a handy little icon down here, or sometimes it'll pop up on the sides depending kind of how the image is structured, where you can just kind of move it so that you have kind of that off kilter look that looks like, oh, I'm just like tossing this book into the air. I'm tossing it onto the couch or tossing it onto my beach blanket. And it kind of gives like a more fun, casual vibe to it. But another way that you can encourage that movement on the image itself, if you want the image to be head on, is by utilizing the shadow behind it. So if I go into edit image and go to shadows, I like to use the angle shadow to kind of create that sense of like, ooh, there's movement on the page, and having that, you can make certain adjustments to it so that the angle is a little bit more severe. The transparency, that's going to make the shadow darker. I like to kind of err on having my transparency be down a little bit more, just so that the book or the shadow isn't kind of overwhelming the image itself. As well as you can also change the color. So you can have it be something that's like very understated in this moment, or you could have something that's like, wow, really wild, and like that's a whole different color palette completely, so that you're definitely like catching the viewer's attention. You know what, it may sound simple, but I mean, sometimes it can be hard when you are clicking around. And I will freely admit that Canva, because it updates like very regularly, they're always making enhancements to their product. Things are always changing. I'm still getting used to the new like position menu that they have. It used to be a drop down, and now it's like over here. So I feel like I'm like clicking and then dragging over here, and it can be like, oh man, it can be a little tricky, especially with everything moving around. So always ask for clarification, because sometimes the simple things can turn out to be really confusing. So with the information that's on the back of your postcard, you have a lot of possibilities for what you could put here. You could do something if you want it to be more book focused. I'm still trying to build up myself as an author, because I have many book series to kind of promote out there in the world. I feel that having readers connect with me directly is the best way for them to get to know me and my writing. But another thing that you can use the back of your postcard for is to put, maybe you have a Kirkus review of your book, or maybe you have, I could definitely put the amazing blurb that Leah wrote for Tag Me for Murder on the back here, so that readers are getting a sense of what my book is and what's what to expect, and having another author vouch for me. Another option would be a short excerpt from your book. That could be really fun. And if you wanted to do, if you wanted to have even kind of more of a book focused postcard, what you could do, and let's kind of go through the process here. So I have my height at 4.12 and my width at 6.12. I'm actually going to swap those around. So I'm going to do 4.12 for my width and 6.12 for my height, if I can remember that. And I'm going to just copy and resize it and get a whole different postcard. So now we're working in a vertical way. And the reason why I wanted to work vertically, because if I come to the back of my postcard, and again, I quickly rotate over here and drag my element. I'm using this background here not only as like a page, it's meant to be like a piece of paper that everything's written down on, but it's also for me just a reference guide of like, hey Sarah, don't go past this white square or you run the risk of cutting things off. So what you could do in this instance, and actually I'm gonna keep these items, zoom in real quick. I'm going to group my, oops, didn't do that right. I'm going to group these little social icons together, because then I can easily drag and drop them around the whole page without worrying about having to realign them and whatnot. And I'm going to bring this information down. And actually, I'm going to bring these down. Basically, so we're kind of shifting how the information is presented. But really what I want to do is, because I want to make this more book-centric, I could do, chapter 1 and have a nice excerpt of my book fill the back. And I'm just going to, for content purposes, I'm just going to just double paste everything here just so that I have more words. So I can show you like how much space you have to work with. And depending on kind of the, depending on the font that you're using and the size and styling and everything, you could probably cram even more words in here. The font that I use is pretty loopy to showcase my personality. And with that, you could probably fit, I'm thinking you could probably fit maybe like a 200 word excerpt in here, and have it, it looks basically like you're handing your reader a page of your book. And thus, on the cover, you could really either lean into, let's see, you could have something that is more indicative of, the book that you're sharing. Let me go ahead and just like kind of readjust this a little bit. And there we go. So now we've got, my reader knows that, hey, this thing that I'm being handed is about #TagMeForMurder. And then on the back is part of chapter 1. Or if I wanted to even just be more like everything focused on the book cover itself, I could do something along the lines of, let me just put in another page here, come in, delete everything, and drag and drop and have this be my background. One thing that, and so then I would just hand them a page. I could even do, let's see, I'm going to put in the blue. Let's see what it looks like if I have the book as the background as well. The one thing I worry about is my name popping up again. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it bigger. So you could have something along the lines of having your book front and back being available. One thing that you do want to be very cautious of, if you're going with, I'm making my book as the background approach. And again, I have the option, I can detach it from background and I can set background image. I would actually, in this instance, I might recommend detaching it from the background completely and making sure that you are definitely within the lines of the margins that you're working with, and just have the rest of like the white space around it. You can just use like a solid color from your book to enhance it, so that when you're on your printing service, you have to be, and that's almost the trickiest part of this whole process, is uploading it into the whichever printing service that you're using, because you do have to make sure that everything is lining up where you need it to be. In Canva, you have the ability, when you export something, to I recommend doing print PDF, because that is going to format it in the best possible way for your printing service. And the thing you're going to really want to pay attention to is the color profile selection. You're going to want to select this CMYK profile, and you'll notice that it is a Canva Pro feature. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have access to it. But one thing that I do caution you when using RGB, which means red, green, blue, RGB is for digital use. It's not exclusively, but it's designed to enhance images when you're viewing them from a screen, a web browser, your phone, wherever you're seeing a digital image. If you print something out with the RGB color profile being utilized, you may see slight changes in the color, so that if you were to design something and then print it out, it's going to look slightly different than what is on your screen, just because the color profile on your printer is different than the color profile in your computer screen. Usually this isn't a huge deal. The only time that I've really had it come kind of bite me is when I am using black ink. The black doesn't, it black and dark blue, those are where you're going to see like pretty major differences. When something looks super dark on your screen, you're going to print it out and it's going to be kind of more grayscale at that point. So that's just something to be cautious about when you're utilizing the RGB color profile. In a case like this where my color is like very vibrant, I'm probably not going to see a huge difference, but it's just something to be aware of. Does Canva have templates for bookmarks? Yes, it does, Deborah, and that is a great place to start. When in my previous stream, we had taken a look at the bookmark templates. One thing that I would caution you about when you are looking at templates in Canva, if you're going to use Canva as your printing service, then you don't really have to worry about this too much, because they're going to be doing the conversion of size ratio for you. But if you are designing and using it in a different printing service like Vistaprint or Shutterfly or what have you, you're going to just want to make sure that the template that you're selecting is sized appropriately for the printing service that you end up using. One thing that we found when we were looking at bookmarks is they were kind of more, they weren't really brand based. They were more along the lines of kind of like inspirational, pretty. They weren't selling a book themselves. You could definitely take one of these bookmarks. Like let's take this one, which is you can see here it's a 2x6 inch bookmark. So that's going to actually be a really nice, like sturdy one. And those are my favorite ones to do, because you just have more room, because the width ratio is much nicer. But you could take a template like this and really begin to work on it from and make it work for your books. And I'm actually looking at some of the recently used templates that I had clicked around in, and I'm going to actually swap over to this journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, because I really like the colors of these books, because they look kind of like the same color as my Tag Me for Murder cover. And so in this instance, I could really just kind of come in and, plop my book cover in the middle of these books. And of course, I'm going to head over to my shadows to give me some dimension and make the adjustment. I'm going to bring up the transparency a little bit. I'm going to bring down the blur so it's a little sharper. I'm going to use this blue, I think. Maybe actually bring down the transparency down a little more. And then what I can do is I can come in here, and even though these colors are like pretty similar to my bookmark or to my book cover, I can actually just go ahead and swap them into the colors that I actually know are a known entity, so that they match my bookmark, or they match my book cover much more closely. And you can see here on this palette that I've designed, that's all part of my brand box that I have designed within Canva. And that's one of the many features of Canva Pro that I absolutely love, is each of my, let me go back in here and just kind of bring that up. Each of my series I've created a brand kit for, so that anytime that I'm working on an item for that particular series, I can have all of my series logos at my disposal. I can have all of the colors that I know I use for my designs, and these are all pulled from the covers of my books. And then I also have the fonts. So I have the same font that I use for my for the book cover. I have the subtitle, the series name in there as well, so that I have those easy references when I am designing. So again, like I'm able to kind of really customize this bookmark that started out as, if I go back to the design, it started out as just kind of something pretty generic and not specific to me at all. But already I have something available that I could, I could use to support my trending topic mystery series. And, I can even, these templates are not like locked down in any way. So I could even like readjust and reorder. There's something about, I love having the book cover on top. And I can show the reason why I like live by that rule. I will pull up my bookmark that I made for Malice this year. I have the template design where here's my book cover. I made 2 different bookmarks to showcase both of my cozier mystery series that I write. And I'm able to just really, and the reason why I'm leaning into this is, you have the option when you go to a printing service, you can print, I think the smallest number is 5 bookmarks. So instead of printing 100 bookmarks with, all of my book covers jammed onto one image, I can print 50-50, and I can begin to kind of make it a little bit of a collector's item, because I have my bookmark from last year. And let me see if it's right here. My bookmark from last Malice is going to be something where folks are going to see it's very similar to what I have this year. And it can be kind of a collector's item, if you will, where, people can begin to collect the bookmarks with all of my different book covers on them. So it's a way to, kind of make a game out of it, gamify the experience, but also have it be fun, have it be a fresh look. And again, the information, I think a picture says 1,000 words. So instead of putting just like a blob about what I write and all of this stuff, I'm giving more of a visual experience with the logos that I've created for my series, and using those on my marketing materials, and just kind of swapping it out when I am switching between series. So, being able to really kind of keep your reader, keep them engaged. Again, like a book has enough words in it. You don't need to put a book on your bookmark. So I'm more about having a lot of images, having it be fun, have it be interactive, giving them a call to action, visit all of her books at saraheber.com, and making it easy for them to connect with you, because that's really what this is. It's a connection tool, and making sure that you stay connected with those readers as you go forward. So I think if I go back, so I've shown how to do, and so let me kind of condense everything that we just walked through. So what I'm going to be doing for Malice this year is, this is going to be the front of my bookmark. I am using colors that are a part of my personal author brand. So if I go back to my homepage and I take a look at my brand, you'll see my author brand. My logos has that purple and gold aspect to it. Those are the colors that I'm using repeatedly. So those are the colors that I really leaned into in the design itself, because not only do I try to incorporate them in my book covers, but I just love purple and gold. And I feel like, your postcard should be something, tell your reader something about you, be open, inviting, and what better way than it's like, hey, like this is a part of who I am. So this is the cover that I'm going with. And then again, the back that I'm using, I definitely, so I'm actually kind of still on the fence, because I do love having a space to sign my postcards. And I actually just might do that by just deleting the, making my biography section a little bit more condensed. And so that I could, if somebody wanted a signature, I could easily sign in this little area here. And just making sure that everything is aligned. Perfect. I could even make these smaller. Because another good thing about the postcard is that, I'm doing, I think mine is a 4x6, 4x7. So it's a pretty big chunk of real estate. So even though like it might look small on my computer screen, or it might seem like it's going to be small, it's still going to be a pretty nice sized item that I'll be able to hand somebody. So I don't have to worry about like these little images being too big or too small. So that's something that I'm kind of still on the fence about. I do love the look of the kind of more infographic. And so I'm just, right now, I'm just like going and undoing everything that I just did. So I love the look of the infographic being a little bit more, spaced out and kind of storybookish with just how everything is displayed. But I'm kind of, I do like the idea of being able to sign. And honestly, I could probably just like delete my name and sign there. Even though my signature is much not as nice as my pretty little icon. So just some food for thought with the information that I will be presenting on my postcard. When I print out the postcard, some recommendations that I have, I really love having the front be glossy and the back be matte. And so the glossy is going to have that nice shine to it. Your colors are going to be really vibrant. They're going to pop. But the reason why I like to have the matte backing is because it makes it like 1,000 times easier for you to sign it. I'm not even sure if you could sign it if it wasn't a matte background, because it would just kind of wipe off. Even if you're using like a permanent marker, it's going to smear all over the place. So that's just some food for thought when you're selecting your print options. And I think I would probably recommend glossy for the front for any type of cover. Even if I was going to do the, where was the one that I did the resized for? That was this one. Here we go. If I did it vertical, I would still recommend having it be glossy unless you wanted to sign the cover. That could be something. You could have it be matte on the front, so you could do your signature right, wherever you could find space. And then on the back, you could have the back be glossy, because if you're putting on an excerpt, there's really like no space for that signature. But I mean, just something to think about presentation wise. And then again, we talked briefly about the uses for blurbs and being able to use a blurb effectively. Because, as much as we want to like shout from the rooftops every single amazing thing that's been said about our book, you're really going to want to pull those like sensationalized words that are going to grip your reader. I absolutely love this quote because it really like captures a lot of what the book is about. If I wanted to go even shorter, I would probably pull out just deliciously engrossing, because smart and funny they're amazing words. And I love that my book is being described like that. And I love that whole blurb in itself. But if you need to compact space and you want to be as like punchy as possible, like deliciously engrossing is just like such a good pairing of words. And so kind of leaning into the words that are very like evocative and atmospheric. I would caution, like, let's say that you have a blurb it's a 5-star review and it's like, this was a great read, I couldn't put it down. We all love great reads, and we know that a great read is a great read, but like a lot of books are described as a great read. So like the thing that you would want to put in from that sentence is, I couldn't put it down. So you could just like chop out and leave this was a great book behind, because I couldn't put it down is such an emotive expression that your reader is going to feel that more. And, if they see, oh, this is a great read, like, I had a great dinner last night, but like, I've already forgotten what it was. So kind of thinking along those lines of the words that really bring forth emotion and really paint a picture for your readership when you're deciding, what to entice them with. And then you could have the full blurb in your caption or wherever. I could put the full blurb on the back of the book or on the back of the postcard and have it be like just as effective, but I'm really capturing the reader's attention by having this book framed deliciously engrossing. Is the Kite 1 font the one I prefer? The reason why I'm using it, Deborah, is because it is so intrinsically linked with my book series. I always recommend not having too many fonts on a particular project, even print versus digital, always try to keep the number of fonts minimal. So in this case, if I was going to select a different font, I would probably do something that's similar to what my author name is titled here. Because I don't want to overwhelm my reader with like too many things that they're trying to like piece together. Like, okay, this is a different font. 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 What do we got going on here? So trying to keep as much uniformity as possible. And because that Kite 1 font is, it's harder to see at this, on this image. Let me bump over to this one and zoom in. It's the like series topic or the series title font for my book series. So I don't really, it's kind of part of what the series is at this point. But if I was going to change it, I would definitely put in something, let's see, I would want it to be italicized so that my end user like knew that they were seeing something that was being said or that was being written. So I would want to make sure that whatever I was selecting, that I was selecting something that had the italicized option. So I'm going to lean into, again, I'm going to come into the author name here, which looks to me something along the lines of being serif. So I'm just going to pop in here and take a look at what some of my options are, so that there's like some similarity here. So I would come up and I would switch over on the same, although I don't think this one is in serif. Or sorry, this one doesn't have the italicized ability. Here we go. Here's one that's got italicized. I don't like that one. Let's see. I kind of like this one because it's similar enough to the Kite 1, but it also has elements similar to my name. I do like that. And then I can give Leah's death checked out. Actually, I'm just going to keep hers in capitals to like really block it here. And then I can make this bigger. So I've got some uniformity with the same font that I'm using for my author name versus my quote. And it's similar in ways to both my author font and the series font title, that there's that connection. So it's not like too overwhelming. One thing that I would definitely recommend not doing is coming in and having, you might think like, oh, let's have like a really eye-catching quote that is also eye-catching in display, and like something that is like so radically different than what is on your cover is gonna be distracting. Because like now I'm looking at this being like, okay, like is this a comic book, like, or like what is going on? What type of book are we selling here? And it kind of takes away also like the readability. It's like, what does that word say? And so like, again, as amazing and uncool as some of these fonts look, making sure that you are kind of staying within the realm of the theme that your book is already displayed in its on its cover is a way that you can really kind of help keep the brand of the book fresh in your reader's mind. So something along the lines, if we weren't crazy about the Kite 1 font, we could definitely have something that is a little more simple in how it's being displayed, but it's still like fun and engaging and really pops off of the page. So with that said, we covered a lot of ground. We talked about designing a postcard. We talked about kind of the difference between doing something horizontal where you're kind of just presenting information to your reader versus making something a little bit more book oriented, where you're either providing an excerpt or maybe the first, couple paragraphs from chapter 1 to like hook somebody in, but still providing them with enough information about, hey, like where to find you and all of that stuff going forward. We talked about selecting a blurb and really narrowing in on the words that you're choosing that are atmospheric and really evocative of emotion and gripping, and are going to make somebody race to go pick up your book because the words that you've selected are just so bring out such bring the book alive for them. And then we also did just a little bit of a recap of bookmarks and information that you can include on a bookmark. And I think that is it. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am glad to know that this was helpful. And of course, if you have any additional questions, I'm always happy to lend my Canva knowledge whenever possible. And I will be back with more videos like this. I'm trying to think if there are any topics that you would like to learn more about. I'm always happy to take suggestions because I could do anything in Canva and have fun. So again, very best of luck on creating your author swag, and I hope to see it out when we all are on the conference circuit. So again, thank you so much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining.